Good evening, everyone. Today is Monday, June 1st. The time is 7 p.m. And I'd like to call this, I'd like to call this rescheduled meeting of the Urbana City Council to order. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Wu.
Here.
Councilmember Evans.
Here.
Councilmember Hersey.
Here.
Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Councilmember Wilkin.
Here.
Councilmember Quisenberry.
Here.
Mayor Williams.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. Before we move forward, I will ask the clerk to put 50 seconds on the timer. I'm going to request a moment of silence for Councilmember Chandra Bishop, who passed away today. So at this time, we'll ask for a moment of silence. All right, thank you. Moving on to approval of the minutes, which there aren't any. Next, we will have a change to the agenda, so I'd like to request moving reports of officers to right before the committee of the whole. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Quisenberry, seconded by Sharice. Ms. Hersey. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Wu.
Yes.
Councilmember Evans.
Yes.
Councilmember Hersey.
Yes.
Councilmember Jones.
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkin.
Yes.
Councilmember Quisenberry.
Yes.
All right, that passes. Thank you. Let me see here. We will now move to public input. If there are any members of the public wishing to speak, you may please come to the microphone. You have 5 minutes. State your city and your name. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Chris Birdie. I'm a longtime resident of Urbana, and I'd like to speak against the proposed development or changing the zoning for this proposed large development on historic Maine. I was here at the last meeting, and I discussed how the design is incongruous with the historic character of that part of Main Street in Urbana. So I talked at length, as did many other people that spoke for this proposed variation. So one of the things that hit me very keenly after I spoke, there was a group of 6, 7 people that came up, and they talked about this proposed large apartment building going up on Main, and it was portrayed as addressing affordable housing. I went to the Planning Commission. At no point did the architect, or when this was posed, say anything about affordable housing. I don't think there is a person in this room that would disagree there needs to be more affordable housing. This large apartment building is more typical of the large apartment buildings on campus. They're higher rents, and it does not address affordable housing. The other thing people were saying was by having more units, it would bring down the cost of housing. That too is a myth. So I would ask the voting council members to consider this and not allow this project to move forward under the current design. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Liz Cardman of Urbana. I'm talking about the proposed PUD for Main Street. Many of you have probably read Fritz Jared's op-ed piece on Smile Politely. It's impressively well-researched and makes very compelling arguments in support of this PUD. One of the articles he references cites a study in Honolulu. While it's true that Honolulu and Urbana are quite similar in that they both have beachfront properties, it's not true that increased housing density will play out the same in both cities. Consider the beachfront property to the north of campus between Springfield and University in both Urbana and Champaign. It's been overrun with high-density student housing and has negatively encroached upon the fragile, long-term neighborhoods to the north. Developers have been pushing to build in West Urbana for decades. That is, to build on the beachfront property to the east of campus. Give one developer a toehold on this beachfront property, and you'll open the floodgates to a tsunami of high-density development. Such development, while quite lucrative to the investors, will be detrimental to the fabric of yet another fragile, long-time Urbana neighborhood. The West Urbana beachfront will eventually and inevitably look like the area north of Springfield. There's a reason that the 2025 comp plan aims to protect low-density housing in West Urbana, along with several other neighborhoods. I ask that you acknowledge that whatever zoning works in Honolulu will not have the same positive results in Urbana. I also have some follow-up comments on the email you received from Professor of Architecture, John Clark. Professor Clark cites a study of 12 cities which claims that more liberal zoning affected a positive change in affordable housing. Those 12 cities are Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, Dallas, Denver, Houston, Minneapolis, New York, Philadelphia, Seattle, San Francisco, and Washington. It's a false analogy to think that zoning policies apply to major cities with sprawling metropolitan areas with populations in the millions have any relevance to a small town of 40,000 in the cornfields. Professor Clark also cites Ithaca, an isolated college town, which in 2024 opened an affordable housing project downtown. Sounds good. 1 year later, what's the review of this project? This, quote, ambitious downtown housing project has been riddled with problems since it opened last year. Waste piles up in the halls. Crime occurs in the open, and now residents are taking legal action. All eyes are on the building's owner. Furthermore, yes, unlike Urbana, Champaign has seen a great increase in high-density housing near downtown. However, also, unlike Urbana, it's seen a great increase in single-family housing, condominiums, and more on the fringes of town. Much of this is high-end housing, which significantly boosts the tax base. I ask that you say no to this proposed development, and thank you for your consideration.
Hello. Oh, is this working? Okay. I'm here to speak in favor of the development on 413 Main Street. There's a critical need for the development of more housing in this community. We've seen our population increase because people want to live here. That's great. People also want to live in West Urbana, which is also great. There's an extensive amount of research that shows that building more housing in a community reduces overall costs. The claim that, Urbana and these other cities don't relate is nonsense, right? In any economic system, if you increase supply, and then costs are going to go down. If you keep supply restricted and demand is going up, our population is going up, costs are going to go up. I work in the schools here, and I can say that especially this year, I've had a lot of families that have had to move because costs are going up. And if there's no housing development, that's just going to keep on happening. It's going to get worse. We'll have even more, increases in costs for housing that at the moment is currently considered affordable. I also would note that Urbana, right, does need to increase its tax base. It does need to diversify a bit. away from, or towards more of these developments that are a little bit larger, higher density. And I just, took a walk past the site, right? It's like there's another apartment building, like, 2 doors down from there. So it's hardly, all that different from what's in the neighborhood currently. I would really encourage you, right, not to follow kind of the not in my backyard arguments that usually come forth when we have developments like this that are proposed, that are higher density. Those arguments are the reason why we have housing shortages across the country, including here in Urbana and in Champaign, because we've had zoning decisions that have been made and also developments that have not gone forward because, people come and say, well, it's great, but not here, right? And of course, there is no here at the end of the day. In every place, you're going to have people who, at least initially, are resistant to change, don't want, things to be different, and so therefore argue against any kind of new development. I will say, right, as someone who lives in a neighborhood that has a lot of different housing types, I do think that eventually, the development gets built, right, and people change their minds. As, new people come into the community, they become part of the neighborhood, then, some of the negativity towards, different kinds of housing starts to go away. But there's always that kind of fear of change. And I do hope that the council here doesn't kind of cave to that pressure and you do allow this development to go forward. Thank you.
Hello, council members. My name is Adani Sanchez. I'm with Curbanism Club. I live in Champaign, but I spent some time here in Urbana, and I really think it's a beautiful place with its own character, but also part of that character is being a welcoming community and opening up the community to a variety of people. The most unaffordable type of housing is a single-family home. Having to ask a bank for an insane amount of money and having to face interest rates and having to face the process of this market right now. I just bought a house 2 years ago. It was a very difficult market in our area because there aren't a lot of options available. And we can talk about building single family homes like cottage courts, which are smaller, more affordable. But if we're not building other options for people to live in, we're all going to be fighting for the same small units that are available, the homes that are available. So this really is a way of driving people out and away from the city if we aren't continuing to build things, especially when we're asking people to go get loans for something that's the only way they can live in Urbana is to go get a loan approved by a bank in a society that has historically not liked to lend to certain people. So please consider that. I moved here now going on 12 years ago, actually, and the only way I was able to afford living here is because there were old apartment buildings in my community close to transit so that I didn't have to buy a new car. I would not have been able to afford a car. So I hope that the folks here in Urbana take a look at what it means to be a newcomer here and welcome transplants like myself, and hopefully we're adding something to the community so that you'll want to keep us around. I also would like to think of an example where people are moving out of apartments for a variety of reasons. Some things can happen, like a fire could occur, and if I don't have enough vacancies in my community to be able to just move into a neighboring apartment building with an opening because they're all full, if I can't just move into a new apartment in my neighborhood at my price range, that is a problem because that apartment building wasn't built 50 years ago or 30 years ago. So I like to think about the naturally occurring affordable housing and how we get there is building things new now and making room so that when people move out of their old apartment buildings, they open up that space for other people and allow everyone to kind of move around as they would like. That indicates a healthy market. So I'm not going to repeat myself too much. Thank you so much for your time and your consideration of this development. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anna Howe. I'm a resident of Ward 2, a member of Curbanism Club, and its representative at the CSPH. I'm here to support the proposed development on Main Street. I live around the corner from the site and chose where I live because of its walkability and diversity of housing types. Within a 10-minute walk, you can find grocery stores, restaurants, healthcare facilities, banks, the courthouse, a transit hub, and much more. Supporting this proposal means more people can access these amenities and the economic development of our growing downtown while making use of existing infrastructure. The neighborhood surrounding the proposed building has diverse housing types, including single-family homes, duplexes, and small and mid-size apartment buildings, some of which are subsidized low-income housing. This diversity of housing attracts diverse people, making Urbana more welcoming and vibrant. We've heard a lot about the need for affordable housing and the character of the neighborhood at these last few meetings. I would like to address these topics as someone close to both issues. I'm a licensed social worker that specializes in assisting families experiencing homelessness, and I see the devastation our local housing shortage causes in the community every day. Most families I work with are led by single parents, and it's hard to maintain employment, get kids to school and doctor's appointments, access food, and meet other basic needs when you don't have a safe, stable place to stay each night. Many parents lose their jobs while homeless, and kids begin missing school. Homelessness creates a ripple of instability that can take years to resolve, even after new housing is found. A recent report shared by the Illinois Office to Prevent and End Homelessness, for example, shows that experiencing an eviction as a child has the same impact on high school graduation rates as juvenile incarceration. I attend eviction court every week and checked the stats this morning. Champaign County has had more than 600 eviction filings in 2026. I'm glad to see all the community members here invested in affordable housing. I want more affordable housing too. The way we do that is to build, because the research is clear. Housing affordability is largely driven by supply. This building is not affordable housing per se, but it increases housing options and supply, contributing to rent stabilization over time, and opens up affordable housing downstream. It will have a small positive impact on Urbana's housing ecosystem. It is not the only solution to our housing affordability problems, but it is what we can do today. As it relates to neighborhood character, West Urbana is a large neighborhood, and the narrative about it should be representative of all who live there. There are pockets of predominantly single-family homes, but the blocks surrounding this site are mostly multifamily and have been for a long time. We've heard from many homeowners, and it feels as though they are reclaiming the neighborhood for their vision more than maintaining the character as is. West Urbana has a variety of housing types at different price points that help define its character, and this building fits in with that. The barrier to entry to this neighborhood and all the nearby amenities should not be owning a large Victorian home. The last thing I'd like to highlight is from the Champaign housing study. It found that Champaign issued 10 times as many residential permits as Urbana over the last 5 years. We're not Champaign, but that's 10 times the tax base and 10 times the neighbors. I love living in Urbana and want to extend that opportunity to as many people as I can. Please vote yes to support this building.
Hello, my name is Alex Ularic, born in Urbana, living in Champaign right now. I want to argue that this is a great development for this area of Urbana. You have downtown to the east, campus to the west, Carl Hospital to the north. It's a great place to live. I mean, you have transit, biking, walking friendly neighborhood, perfect for those who want the proximity to their job and amenities the city provides while using the transportation methods that fit their lifestyle and needs. The diversity in the built environment and the people living in this area is immediately obvious when you're walking and biking through this area. You have a liquor store, a tire shop, a lot of apartments, converted single-family homes, owned and rented single-family homes, even institutional buildings that all blend together, sometimes on the same street. This is anything but a neighborhood with a coherent style or character, and that's what gives it its charm, honestly, in my opinion. While aesthetics are important, and some of you might not like the aesthetics of this proposed building, we don't have the luxury of saying no when Champaign's housing study is showing a 2% vacancy rate and that we need 6,500 units in Champaign alone built. Similarly, Urbana's housing study shows 80% of units with no vacancies, and 91% with one or no vacancies. I live in an ugly building near downtown Champaign, but without that building, honestly, I wouldn't be living where I want to at the moment. And there are solutions to the design front. I would advocate for a design, kind of like a design catalog with pre-approved design and plans ranging from a variety of housing, like single-family homes, duplexes, quadplexes, just so that, and you could even work with the community and neighborhood to create the designs if you would like. But to say that if we obsess over the looks of our neighborhood, what are we trading for that? We got, we have houses that are in rough shape that I've seen passing by that area. I've seen unkept roads and sidewalks, empty lots, all because the neighborhood wasn't allowed to grow, evolve, and invest in itself. We have 2 empty parcels in this location for decades. Now that we have something well-designed specifically for this flood-prone site that wouldn't pencil out with 1 less floor or an FAR of 0.9 instead of 1.0, we want to reject it? I was born in Urbana after the 1991 decision to downzone the neighborhood. Doesn't my generation get a say in what the housing will look like in the future? Or are we going to continue to revere zoning law that was designed to segregate communities along racial, ethnic, and class lines as gospel that can't be challenged? Some people will argue it will displace the current residents, and that's true. Some people or housing will be demolished. Some people will have to relocate. And what's being replaced with it is twice as many market rate units. I argue that according to a 2019 paper by Evan Mast, the research shows for every 100 market rate units created, 70 vacancies in less expensive neighborhoods are created, with 39 of those being in the least expensive neighborhoods, through chains of moves that see people moving from cheaper neighborhoods on average to more expensive ones. The effects of new housing units mostly settles in 5 years. Just because these units aren't accessible to your income bracket doesn't mean they aren't accessible to anyone. High income earners have to pick of a litter when it comes to housing, so ensuring they have attractive quality housing options ensures the already and naturally affordable units are available for those who don't have a choice where they live. I want to be clear, new market rate housing is not the only solution to affordability, let alone this one development proposal, but is still an important yet vilified segment of the market. There are income levels that market rate housing won't provide for, and we need subsidies through vouchers, better tenant protections, well-funded shelters, permanent supportive housing, senior housing, even single-family housing. We need it all. Our housing solution has to be a combination of different solutions, and this one apartment won't solve the issue, but if we continue to say no to more of these projects, we will only harm the community further by constraining the number of housing options in any given neighborhood. Saying a neighborhood is too historical and special to change is elitist thinking that only those privileged enough to live there can say. We need to be careful about that thinking in a time when there is as many people who are struggling to afford daily expenses. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Gabriel Dunn. I live at 602 West Illinois Street in Ward 2. And I just want to address like a few of the objections. One of them, I heard an anonymous comment that they're tired of like all these like quote unquote young they're shocked by these young progressives using Reaganite language when we're talking about, supply of housing. To me, the housing crisis is not a left or right issue. I'll be open and brave. I'm a registered Republican, and I've been homeless, and so this affects everyone. And at the local level, I really think that this should be about bipartisan effort. Second of all, I heard a comment earlier in support of or against the development, saying, kind of like degrading like neighborhoods of like north of Springfield on campus. And for me, it's like progressive, like Urbana, we're supposed to be a progressive town, but it's time to stop talking the talk. It's time to stop being performative. Walk the walk. The arguments against, this development have been elitist. They have been classist. If you look at the history of these zoning restrict laws, they do come from the same period that right when redlining was going out. They found a new way, I would say a more politically correct way. They called it zoning. And right now, we can't blame our homeless crisis, our housing crisis here in Urbana on those right-wing Republicans. We can't blame it on MAGA because guess what? The entirety of this council, including the mayor, are Democrats. It is your responsibility. I applaud our Cunningham Township Supervisor, Daniel Chenoweth, for supporting this. It really brings a breath of fresh air. This isn't a political issue. This is a human issue. And right now it is in the local hands. We can't blame anyone. So the only way that anyone can get blamed is if you guys vote this down. Like I remember 2 weeks ago, there was someone who emailed in and basically said that, all the money that we're giving to Courage Connection and Township, we might as well just burn it because there are a lot of people who literally, they're working. They even could have the money, but the problem is that there is no supply. There's an 80% vacancy rate in the city of Urbana. It's not just affordable housing is good, but we need more housing in general. I don't know why people in my ward are so resistant to it. Well, they talk a good game. Now it's time to walk it out. So please vote yes on this development. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Dave Lieber. I live in West Urbana on West Main Street. I think I'm kind of the villain here because I own one of those old Victorians and I'm also a Democrat. So I came over to this hearing with a very open mind. If you guys were going to have subsidized housing on that lot with a bunch of tenants, I'd be extremely in favor of that. That's not this development. This is market rate housing. On the way over here, we passed by a number of huge buildings that are shorter, smaller than this building, and it will completely change the character of that neighborhood. We've heard that there's very mixed use in this neighborhood. It's true, but the apartment building that's across the street is about half as tall as this one's going to be. It's 3 stories with one of the stories built into the ground. It's going to completely change the character of the neighborhood. And I understand that there are plenty of people here who want that, but part of the reason it's such a great neighborhood to live in is because of the character of the neighborhood. And if this gets built, it's going to change. So that's all. Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Jerome Grossman Naples. I've lived in Urbana for coming up on 7 years. I'm a member of Urbana Champaign Jews for Ceasefire, and I'm here to speak in favor of the resolution adopting revised financial policies, which includes, divesting from certain recommended organizations, including a lot of them which are associated with the genocide in Gaza. So I have certainly lived here long enough to see the importance of having the finances that the city can use for the people of Urbana. I have friends who, work in food justice, work in the township, and I've also seen, instances where, not being able to provide services has led to things like people freezing in the winter. And so I certainly am coming here with the understanding that our investments are not something to be taken lightly. The people who are served by these are important. I'm here because I believe, and I think that probably many people believe, that the people of other places also are important. If we secure our finances in order to serve the people of Urbana by helping provide resources to organizations that are hurting other people, or maybe to be more precise, supporting the genocide, killing of civilians, and genocide against entire ethnic groups. That's not an acceptable trade-off, I think. It is difficult, the world we live in, the way we handle resources can make it very difficult to, the way we handle resources can make it very difficult.
I'm sorry. To the gentleman in the back, if we can not have you guys having a conversation while we have individuals at the public input mic, we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
With the way we handle resources, it can be very difficult to disentangle from the things that are, counter to people, to supporting people. And I think that makes it all the more crucial that when we are able to find a line directly connecting our finances to the support of, genocide and crimes against humanity, that we take the opportunity to make use of that information and avoid supporting that. So yeah, I'll urge people to vote in support of this resolution. And also, I want to briefly mention my housemate, Kayla, who couldn't be here today due to an injury, asked me to mention his support for this as well. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Phil Fasella from Urbana, born and raised. I'm here today to talk about the proposed development on West Main Street, but I think we've heard enough about housing for the moment, so let's talk about cars. There are a lot of people in the community, probably a lot of people here today, that need an affordable and reliable and safe vehicle. And, while we would love to get each of them into a 2026 model, a new car isn't affordable for everybody. And, you talk to somebody in the industry and they say, well, we just can't make a 2026 Chrysler or a Ford, any of these cars for $15,000 anymore. With tariffs, labor costs, all the emission and safety features that are required nowadays on a car, no matter who is making the vehicles, new cars tend to cost upwards of $50,000, which is unaffordable for most working people. And, the solution to that is not to stop automakers from making cars that cost what it costs to produce them. And, absent massive subsidy, it's a very difficult problem to tackle. But what we can do, and what we do, is we entice somebody, maybe like one of you, that has the resources to pay $50,000 for a new car to come in and test drive a brand new 2026 Chrysler and check out the infotainment system and say, hey, I want to take this home. And when you go to buy it, the first thing a salesman's going to say is, well, what do you have to trade in? You say, well, my wife's been driving a 2018, and I'd love to get her into this new 2026. So, you pay $50,000 for a brand new Chrysler, and 2018 rolls in. We get it spiffed up, factory recertified, and now it is on the lot at an affordable price of $15,000, and a working person can afford that used Chrysler. And what we've done is by producing a brand new 2026 Chrysler, we've created an affordable 2018 Chrysler that now is sitting out on the lot at Napleton's or something, ready for somebody in the community who can afford a $15,000 good, reliable, recertified car to get into. And housing works very similarly over longer time periods. The fact is we cannot build affordable housing without subsidy. Construction costs, modern codes, they make that impossible. No matter who you talk to in the industry, he's going to tell you that it's around $150 a square foot wholesale to build a basic building, and that's absent land costs. This particular development on West Main Street is being proposed in the floodplain, and that increases the land costs, but it's okay. We're able to turn, these developers are able to turn a vacant lot that's in the floodplain into good housing because there are people in our community that really want to live a walking distance from campus. They don't want to commute. And some of them, apparently there's 30-something of them, who are probably living a mile or more from campus and commuting. They're willing to pay $800 a month, $1,000 a month more than they're paying because they want to live somewhere walkable to the university with 2 bathrooms, in-unit laundry, maybe granite countertops. And while their current apartment might be nice, well, people today want to live in different locations with different features in different apartments than they did 40 years ago. In the real estate world, we call that functional obsolescence, which is a little bit more of a feature in real estate than depreciation, which you'd see in automotive, but they kind of work in tandem. I digress. What we can do is if we can get that person who currently lives in historic East Urbana to move into one of these new apartments, that takes some of the price pressure off an older apartment further from campus. Instead of renewing his lease, he's going to move out next August when this is ready, and there's going to be a fairly nice older apartment that maybe doesn't have in-unit laundry that he wasn't satisfied with. That's going to be on the market for somebody who can afford it. And it's not just a one-for-one. These shifts are like musical chairs. Every August, tens of thousands of Urbana residents renew their leases or don't renew their leases. We might get a chain of 5 or 10 people each moving into a more ideal or affordable apartment because of adding one luxury apartment at the top of that scale. So I just, I know stuff like this is crazy and it's in your neighborhood and it feels like it's really going to change your life. But I hope you can think of the people in the community that really need more housing. And, think about all the people that are going to live in this building over the course of the next 100 years, not just when it's new. So thank you very much for your time.
Good evening, councilors. I'm Al Kagan. I live in Champaign, but I shop or work or walk in Urbana all the time. I'm a member of UC Jews for Ceasefire, a multi-generational group advocating against U.S. support for Israel because of its genocidal actions in the occupied Palestinian territories. I speak in solidarity with my Palestinian and Muslim neighbors. I want to congratulate Urbana for likely adding a new section on ethical investments to the investment policy tonight. It's commendable that the city will not invest in corporations on the Swedish International Peace Research Institute, SIPRI, top 100 arms-producing and military service companies. And I am pleased to see the amended policy adopted at the Committee of the Whole meeting on May 18th, which added the American Friends Service Committee's continually updated list of corporations engaged in support of genocide as another tool in deciding which securities to purchase. Again, I want to thank you for doing the right thing for the city, both for fiscal safety and for taking a stand for promoting world peace and a more just world where genocide is no longer tolerated.
Good evening. My name is Jacqueline Ross. I'm an Urbana resident, and I'm here to speak against the resolution that would call for a divestment from corporations that support or invest in Israel. And the reason I oppose this resolution is that the premise of the resolution is that Israel is committing a genocide. But that premise is false. It's a lie. Israel is engaged in a war against an enemy that attacked it first on October 23rd. On October 7th, 2023. In this war, in which Israel is fighting back and defending itself, it is fighting against an enemy that does not wear uniforms, that embeds in a civilian population, that does everything it can to drive up civilian casualties, does not provide access to tunnels where civilians could be safe. And in every war, there are civilian casualties along with military casualties, and in this one as well. But in this war, the ratio of civilian to military casualties is approximately 1-to-1. That is among the lowest ratios of civilian to military casualties ever achieved in urban combat. And if we take as a reference point here every prior war fought by the United States, it is a ratio that we ourselves in the United States have never been able to attain. And if we take most recently the war against ISIS, and we look at Raqqa and Mosul, the degree of destruction is completely comparable in both in Gaza and in Mosul and Raqqa. But also the amount of civilian casualties was approximately 2.5 to 1 enemy combatant in that conflict. And yet, nobody is accusing the United States of genocide. The number of civilians who have been killed per per enemy combatant is much lower in this conflict. So if we apply a double standard, if we single out Israel for a standard that we apply to nobody else, then we are in fact engaging in a kind of moral panic, in Jew hunting, in applying a standard that does not meet the legal definition of genocide. The problem then with the resolution is its premise. There is no genocide, and we should not be making foreign policy for the United States in the Urbana City Council. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Daniel. I'm a resident in Urbana, and I live in an apartment about 1.3 miles from the discussed site for the luxury apartments. And in my experience, it is a quiet neighborhood. Almost everyone who lives in the apartments I do are students, young adults, and families. And according to the apartment website, or one of the listings online, it was built in the 1980s. And so it has time to kind of develop with the neighborhood. But I have a very hard time imagining if it was built today, it would not face similar criticism to the apartment we are discussing today. Apartments, all buildings really just take time to soak into the rest of the neighborhood, the rest of the environment. There's another apartment building close to the site on Google Maps, it appears to be about 100 feet away. There's another 500 feet away. And I'm not certain when they were built, and maybe they received a similar level of scrutiny, but we're not talking about them now because they're here and they're providing housing for many more people than single-family houses could, and a different lifestyle. For when I was a student, whoever said it was completely correct, I prioritized living close to campus when I didn't have a car. Now I do have a car, I have a job, I graduated, and I stayed in Urbana, and being in this quieter neighborhood with cheaper rents in the apartment I live in is hugely beneficial to me. And saying that this is luxury housing and shouldn't be built ignores the fact that it will age, and as it does, it will go down in value naturally as newer and better gets built. It will become a part of the neighborhood that can provide housing for generations, and for that reason, I'm in support of it. I want people to be able to live the type of life I'm able to live in Urbana, and without these kind of developments, I don't see how that could happen as the population continues to grow. Thank you.
My name is Kim Lieber. I live at 508 West Main Street in Urbana, and I just moved in less than 2 months ago. I love Urbana already. I've met so many wonderful neighbors, and I'm here to speak out based on the things that they've told me, because frankly, I haven't lived here long enough to have a strong opinion. But I live in a historical home in the historical part of Urbana, and I moved here purposely so that I could have a lifestyle that allowed me to walk to work and walk to stores and walk to restaurants. And I want that for everyone. I was discouraged from looking at this property because I was told it was a mixed-use neighborhood, as if that were something bad. I consider it an asset. But the signs in the neighborhood say it's historic. And as I walk around the neighborhood and I look at all the wonderful housing for people there, I don't see this particular structure working in the historic district. On my way walking here today, I saw one building that was 4 stories between here and where I live. One building. And you're going to plop a 4-story building right in the middle of the historic district? I'm not elitist. I love Urbana. I want to be a good community member. I moved here for the lifestyle that I could have here, and I want as many people as possible to have it too. All I ask, I haven't lived here long enough to make this decision, but you all have. Is this the right development at the right time in the right location? I trust your judgment. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. I am Suzanne Bissonette. I live at 804 West Main. There's a lot of West Main people here that I hope I represent. I know a number of people have written in to council. I hope you take into consideration their words as well. I'm here to oppose something specific that I haven't heard anybody say tonight. I don't think people are against housing. I'm specifically opposed to the change in zoning that is going to take place. I think it's alarming that you can come in to an area and change the zoning just to build one building. Because then you have set the precedent that it's okay to do that just because you have put together a parcel of property. So just a little history about West Main Street. We moved there in 1992, so we've been there a while. But specifically why we moved there was because the zoning had been downgraded to single family and whatnot, so that we felt like there would be some protection, you know, for our investment. And if you think that West Main looked like West Main looks now in 1992, it did not. So the property owners, you know, have, you know, improved the neighborhood, their housing. There's the rental housing, and we're a very mixed neighborhood, very diverse, all different kinds of housing. There's apartment buildings, single family, big, small, whatnot. But I'm very concerned about this change in zoning. I'll say the other thing too, in building this particular apartment building, we're not solving anything to do with the housing crisis in Urbana. There are not people who are going to be able to afford to move into this. And specifically, when I read the proposal, it indicated that the citizenry they were after, you know, for renters was graduate students and young professionals. So this does nothing to solve, you know, what is a housing crisis. So that's my only point. I'm definitely against this attempt at a change in zoning.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Pierre. I've been a resident of West Urbana for 30 plus years. So I'm here to speak strongly against this proposed development. I wanted to address some of the issues, violations of the Urbana Comprehensive Plans and the PUD guidelines that's described in the email that I sent to City Council. But having heard of a completely different issue today, which is affordable housing. I really, having run the numbers, am sure that this has nothing to do with affordable housing. So these buildings will basically, to be viable, need to charge about $900 plus utilities to each tenant, each bedroom. The vacancy rate in Urbana in housing is actually 12%. You can check that from US Census data. It's not 2%. That's just wrong. So this new building does nothing, absolutely nothing for affordable housing. However, it's as the previous speaker said, completely wrong, in my opinion, to change easily like this the zoning. West Urbana, West Main Street in Urbana is the gateway to the city center coming from campus. It's a gorgeous street, historical. It has gorgeous houses. The four parcels that will be destroyed are green. There are nice houses there. And this will be replaced by some nondescript building over a floodplain that goes against every sentiment you can have in terms of protecting the environment. It will be building a huge concrete parking lot for 27 vehicles. Is just wrong, especially when you know that 2 blocks to the north, between Griggs and University, there is a similar large parcel that has been for sale. That's a perfect location for development like this. It will not require a rezoning like this. So there's no reason to accept this. And if City Council accepts this, then, in fact, I own the house at 501 West Main, which is just across the street from this. If my property values go down, if I come back to you with my neighbors in a few years and I say, well, we need to tear down our block and we want our own PUD, you have set a precedent, right? So you just cannot say no, and this propagates, and before you know it, West Main Street has lost its character, right? Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Jessica Yassine. I'm a proud member, resident of Urbana. First of all, my condolences to you guys. I heard about Chandra when you mentioned it, Mayor, and I came to City Council today very excited because Urbana has the opportunity today to make history. But in light of the news, it just feels like the whole day should just stop, you know? And you guys are still here serving us, and just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to you guys for that, because you guys are really incredible to still be here. Well, you did have a long line of people. So condolences to you guys. For Chandra. Now I'm going to start off with what I was going to say. So my name is Jessica Yassine. I'm a member of the CU Muslim Action Committee. I am talking tonight about the resolution that you guys will be voting on. As you saw, my friend Al Kagan over here from UC Jews for Ceasefire also spoke about this. We're really happy to see that we're going in the right direction, where our investments are going to be aligned with our values and who we are as a people. It's good to see that we have people from different backgrounds. It wasn't just UC Jews for Ceasefire and CU Muslim Action Committee. It was residents from everywhere, like all communities right here in Urbana. And it's so nice that everyone is coming together in a unified manner, because we want our investments to represent who we are as a people. And we appreciate you guys all being here to represent us as a people as well. So I was coming here all excited about it, but I just can't find the excitement anymore. Hope you can forgive me for that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to making history tonight. Thank you.
Wow. Hello, Urbana City Council people. I'm Stuart Levy. I live in Champaign, but for the time being, at least, I work in Urbana and spend a lot of time here, and so I feel I have a stake in this community too. I wanted to cheer you on for looking at adopting an ethical investment policy. I think this is a very good thing, and I'm glad also that you are considering expanding the scope of it to use the American Friends Service Committee, the Quakers list of companies to avoid. And I wanted to say that you'd be in good company adopting this. So the AFSC also keeps a list of cities and states and counties and organizations, pension funds and so on, that have adopted these sort of ethical policies in the last couple of years or so. And there's 19 cities from Maine to California, a couple of counties, 4 states, 2 pension funds, and a number of other organizations that have done this. So if you do it, you will not be alone, but you will be, you'll still be a pioneer. And they've done it recognizing a number of things. I should say, I'm an American Jew. I am a member of Urbana-Champaign Jews for Ceasefire. And one of the things that's important among the AFSC criteria is avoiding companies that are participating in the genocide that Israel is committing against the Palestinians. But there are a number of other criteria that cities and counties have used and that get used in these lists. So, for example, besides avoiding participation in weapons industries, also in mass incarceration or immigrant detention, or in companies with a consistent record of direct involvement in severe human rights violations, anyway, there are a number of criteria. There are a number of ways to be ethical. I am glad that you are looking at one of them, and I hope you will adopt the proposal. Thank you.
Hey, good evening. My name is Derek Briles. I live in Urbana Ward 4, and like Stuart, like Al, like Jess, I'm also here to urge you to vote in favor of the financial resolution. It's amazing that we're here, right, that you've made it this far. You're absolutely doing the right thing. There's so many people behind you on this. I would just really encourage you to make sure you get it across the finish line. Ethical investing is super important. And right now, I mean, the city of Urbana it's over 34 million, I think, in the Illinois funds. And the Illinois funds, while Israel bonds and Honeywell bonds have matured, they're still investing in Caterpillar, they're still investing in IBM, and there's no sign that Frerix is just going to have a change of heart and embrace ethical investing. So I really encourage you to think about that. Think of other places to put those funds. IMET has very similar return rates and much safer, less controversial investments to invest in for the city. I think as we hear, and I think as Alderman Evans likes to bring up, right, a budget is a moral document, and I think you have a very clear black and white, right and wrong choice in front of you about how you want to have the city viewed, right, and be on the right side of history, because everybody is going to say they were against this in 10 years, right? Just like South Africa. There was no apartheid in South Africa until there was. And now everybody was against apartheid in South Africa. But that was not the case then, right? And it's going to be the same here. Everyone is going to be against the genocide of the Palestinian people, but they're not right now. And now's your chance to be on the right side of history and to not wait and to have, like, this is your moment, right? You're here, you're an elected official, make the right decision. I think you will. I don't know that you really need me to tell you this is the right decision. I think you know it is, and I trust that you'll make the right decision. As far as the housing project on West Main, I can't speak for it or against it. I'm not an expert. What I can say is, and I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, the poverty rate, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, in Urbana is 28%. That is 28% of the population of this city that lives at or below the federal poverty line. And the federal poverty line is a joke, right? You can be 100% of the federal poverty line and still not have 2 nickels to rub together. It's like $15,000 for an individual. The average rent in Urbana is somewhere between $1,000 and $1,200. So maybe more units is good. Maybe more is more, and that'll help. But if you're not prioritizing affordability, you're just kicking the can down the road, right? Your population is not suddenly going to become wealthier. most likely the reverse, right? The economy is not in great shape. The cost of living is rising. Working people are struggling, and they need a city that's going to prioritize their needs. I'm not against this project. I think more multi-unit housing is probably what we need. Single-family housing is not particularly efficient. But please make sure you're centering affordability. I think it's a done deal in this case. You're probably going to pass it. But I would really encourage you to think about setting some sort of regulation, some sort of standard for new projects, so some percentage of those units are affordable to the people that live in your town. I mean, the median, you know what the median income is in Urbana? Like $48,000. $48,000 doesn't get you much. And that's for a household. That's not like an individual. That's a $48,000 median income per household. How many of those people can afford $2,000 a month rent? Maybe some people want granite countertops. I tell you what, I don't give a shit about granite countertops. I give a shit about homeless people in houses. And that's what we need to do. I don't care if these are nice apartments and young professionals love them. Great, good for them. But what about the people who can't? And I just don't hear that. I don't see any action being made toward this. I see the township doing a lot. I would really like to see more from the city. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Claudia Lenhoff, and I'm the director at Champaign County Healthcare Consumers, and I'm an Urbana resident. And I wanted to speak about the West Main Street proposed development. I know you're hearing from a lot of advocates who claim that you should approve this development because downstream it'll help create more affordable housing. They cited a lot of studies. None of those studies have looked at the local markets in Urbana and Champaign-Urbana as a whole. There's a very different picture of the relationship between new construction and how that new construction impacts the local rental market. The assumption of supply and demand economic principle is that housing is like widgets. The more supply there is, the lower the pricing will become, and affordable housing will be the result. Housing is not cars, it's not widgets, and the more important principle economically regarding housing is what's called the stickiness of rent. Stickiness is an economic term that basically means that those amounts stay fairly stable or go up a little bit at a time. There are many questions that follow from the assumption of supply and demand. Has Urbana had significant new construction of apartment buildings and homes in the last 20 years? Yes, they have. I sent y'all a list of some of the new developments and how many hundreds of units they each have, and all one has to do is drive on Lincoln Avenue, right around University, just south and north of University. So the question then is, has any of that new development resulted in lower rents? No, rents have not gone down despite new construction. According to a bunch of different market analyses, the rent trajectory has been just going up and up. An analysis from Zillow.com states that rental prices in Urbana have risen by roughly 3 to 9% year over year. But city council members, you can do your own research. You can literally just Google the question, has new construction in Urbana resulted in lower rents? Just Google it. And Google AI will aggregate a bunch of different market studies and tell you the answer. And the answer is no. So what vacancy rate is needed before rents are reduced? There's a bunch of different studies that cite different vacancy rates. But a 7% local vacancy rate indicates a balanced or softening market, and then prices are expected to drop by 1 to 3% year over year. However, landlords do not tend to drop rent prices. What they tend to do is offer incentives to new renters, like first month's rent free, free parking, etc. And let's talk about what that rent reduction is of 1 to 3%. It's minuscule. We are talking tens of dollars. tens of dollars. If you have a $1,200 a month apartment and you get a 2% reduction, congrats, you save $24 a month now. But it hasn't happened. One question is the Champaign-Urbana area a typical housing market, or are there unique features that undermine the supply and demand theory of rent pricing? Champaign-Urbana is considered a rent growth leader for investors. That's what it's considered. Griffin Capital published an analysis in 2023 which highlighted Champaign-Urbana as a rent growth leader. And of the top 150 markets in the country, 18 are experiencing rent growth of greater than 6%. Champaign-Urbana is highlighted as number 3 among the 18 rent growth leaders. There's more data. I'll skip it for now. Hopefully y'all got my email. One statistic said that regarding rental housing that is 10 to 20 minutes away from campus, they state notably, properties 10 to 20 minutes from campus have demonstrated even stronger rent growth at 8.7%. Lastly, I just want to say I am concerned about the residents who are going to get displaced in order for this big apartment building to get built. There are 2 places now where people are currently living, or at least that's my understanding. I don't know how many households that is, how many people that is. I don't know what their current rents are, and I don't know if they're going to be able to find those rents elsewhere. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you very much for letting us speak to you tonight. I am Naomi Jacobson. I live at 803 West Main Street in Urbana. So I live in the neighborhood that we're talking about. I live in the neighborhood that is zoned R2. R2 does not include this kind of large development that is being brought to us in our neighborhood. The city is the one who passes the zoning. The city should enforce their zoning. It is R2, and this new development does not fit in an R2. So many people already this evening spoke about affordable housing, and, you know, I'm sure many of us in this room agree that affordable housing is needed. But this proposal is not addressing affordable housing. In fact, it's going to take away a low-income unit. And I'm like the previous speaker, I'm not sure how many people live in there, but it's going to destroy the homes of some people who can afford to live there. It's going to destroy a nice old Victorian home. There is no reason for this proposal to pass. I do hope that you will consider voting no on this. We certainly need to protect our neighborhoods. Everybody agrees with that. But this is an R2 neighborhood. It's a mixed neighborhood. I think most of us who live there love it. You've heard people talk about being able to walk to stores, restaurants. We can walk to the city building. But we do need to protect it and not allow this big, expensive, we talk about affordability. What I read, this is not going to be an affordable housing facility. So please remember, vote no.
I'm Daniel Folk. I live at 807 West Main, next to Mrs. Jacobson. Beg your pardon? Oh, I thought I was. All right. Okay. Anything else? Speak your mind. Okay, thank you. somehow I guess I'm a member of the elite now. I'm not sure how that happened. I farm for a living. I've been hoeing organic corn all day. But I find it a little ironic that we are proposing to create more affordable housing by knocking down a couple of affordable houses. I haven't seen anyone's financial statement who lives there, but I don't think they're well-to-do at all. And if we knock those down, they have to go somewhere. I'm not sure where they're going. And what's going to replace it is expensive housing. The zoning ought to be about compatible use. I mean, we provide a certain degree of open space, low density, low building footprint. Our height is restricted by law as R2. We're going to carve out one section of that R2 and allow it to be built as R5. We're going to give them things that they don't have to give back to us. And I think that's inappropriate. And just let me say this about, well, a little about the history. About 20 years ago, another developer wanted to build a large building in the 800 block. And we organized, we hired an attorney, we supported the city in defending the zoning ordinance in court, and we heard many of the same arguments. It simply is not buildable under any circumstances except a high density. Now the zoning ordinance survived in court. There are single family homes on all those tracts. They're new, they're attractive, and they fit into the neighborhood. So I hope you will oppose the development on Main Street. Thank you.
Hey, hello. My name's Dennis Roberts. I live in East Urbana. I've been participating in this discussion quite a bit. I've sent you emails with my opinions. You know, I'm concerned that the proposed PUD really kind of ignores the interaction with the community that Green Street Realty allowed when Green Street Realty built 200 South Vine Street. And I sent you today an email that was coming from Diane Marlin's office as mayor, announcing that Green Street Realty had redesigned the concept for 200 South Vine right across the street from us due to the input of the community. And you know, East Urbana is just a small historic East Urbana association, homing association, and has very little power really in the community, but it does have principles, and it did do some downzoning and set up a white paper that allowed the development in our neighborhood to be guided by principles of height, ratio, appropriate massing, number of windows. We required that when a building's built in Urbana, in East Urbana, it has to have a front door and windows facing the street. It can't be built sideways like they had been built so many times in our neighborhood before. So it's okay for our neighborhood to have convictions about what it would like to see happen in its neighborhood and have preferences. And then to ignore them, to ignore the comprehensive plan, to ignore the zoning of a neighborhood one, which is an R2, for the sake of a PUD program seems to be inauspicious. The PUD is really like a ploy. It's like a zone and throw to make a touchdown or something, because you don't have to go to the zoning commission to get the down zoning. You can just say, well, I'm going to make a PUD. Well, is a PUD just one building? Or isn't a PUD supposed to be a neighborhood subdivision plan? Which is it? I can't understand sort of how one can be the other and vice versa. There's a lot of discussion about affordable housing. If you can't believe Claudia Lendhoff, who's an expert in the field, I don't think you can really talk to anybody. Yes, we've been hearing about plans that are, drafted about comprehensive work with affordable housing in large cities, but it doesn't really apply to Urbana. And the one thing about, if you want affordable housing, I'm just thinking about when I was on the city council, we tried to get affordable housing at the Urbana Townhome site near Learman Park, Learman Street in Urbana. And there were like 2 or 3 different companies that tried to establish affordable housing in that neighborhood, right where the people are who need affordable housing. And they failed because they couldn't get the right kind of augmented benefits from the state in a certain number of points to make their programs affordable. But they had planned multifamily units and apartment units right there on Learman Avenue, and that's where the affordable housing is really needed because it's right next to the people whose problems are the affordability. So, and you know, the Learman Garden, which was a community garden, was abandoned ultimately, and the reason for it now is that it's going to be for affordable housing. Well, it's still a vacant lot. So there's plenty of places where affordability could be proposed and honored by this city council. If you just prepare it, if you talk to the right kind of developers, and you allow them to have benefits that encourage them to build for you those affordable housing units. And finally, it's interesting how the city is just held by the balls by the developer. They come in with a program or an image that is not very attractive. It looks like an Argyle sock laying on its side. It's oversized. It's too big for the property. And all you can do is say, geez, somebody finally came and gave me an opportunity to have an apartment here in Urbana. I think they really need to protect the community, but be smart and use the vacant properties that you have and angle it out and get people to come in here and purchase the properties to build those units that you really do need. Thank you.
Hello there. My name is Martin Stromberg. I've lived here since 2000. I came here as a student, and I very much love the beautiful homes that are on West Main Street. I've ridden my bike past them I don't know how many thousands of times. I appreciate that neighborhood. And I just want to make a few comments about the location of this particular development, why I think it's the correct thing to do to pass this development, why I don't think it really interferes with the neighborhood that much, and address a few of the concerns people have raised about saying things like, you know, the law of supply and demand doesn't apply to housing. I mean, that's one of the things I want to address right away, is that the cost of rent is going up, the cost of housing is going up, and that has to do entirely with the amount of housing units that we have available. I wish that everyone who came up here and said their address on West Main would have said what their house was appraised at in 2018 and what it's appraised at now, because it's probably about double. And that pressure on the housing market where you can no longer afford to buy a single family home, this might be your only option. I walked down Main Street today and, you know, I walked by Element and I saw, which people, you know, don't really like Element very much, that it was built there, but I saw, you know, a dad and his kid able to live there. I saw another woman out watering her plants. It's like these are just regular people who should also be able to enjoy proximity to downtown, the advantages of walkability. I truly believe that if we can't build multi-story housing literally 3 blocks from the Busey Bank, which is a 5-story building, where are we going to build it? Where else do we have to build it? They say that it's in the heart of this neighborhood. It's behind the strawberry fields. This is like, you can see the bee spirits from the entire line of the street that's there. You can literally walk around the corner and you're at the BC Bank, which is taller than this building. I mean, to me, it's not a serious argument. It seems like if you can't build high-density housing directly on the edge of downtown, where are you going to build it? Maybe you can build it directly in downtown, but I want to make a comment about that as well. I feel like the community here, who I love very much, has sort of a history of blocking development, and that means that developers are less, willing to work with the city of Urbana. They face this kind of resistance over and over again. And similarly, your dear staff here, who have worked very hard to draft a plan for this and present it to you, I'm sure the longtime planners and economic development people who worked with the city probably have torn their hair out over the years trying to deal with getting some additional housing in a place that desperately needs it. When you see growth next door in the city next door, immense growth and kind of a stagnant population over here, it feels to me that we need not only high density housing, but this location is not at all egregious. I know there's the argument that, well, if they build this one, they're going to build another one, they're going to build another one. And yes, in 40 to 50 to 60, 100 years, we're going to have more people living here. We're going to need taller buildings. We're going to need more housing. We could try to preserve historic district, but eventually, you know, some of these houses aren't going to be able to continue to last. This house that's going to be torn down, that's in this lot, is from 1889. And it's no longer livable in there. So I just want to really highly recommend to the council to think forward, to think about the future of our town, to think that we can share the amenities of downtown Urbana with more people than just the people who have lived here for the last 30 years, and bring more people into our community. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Eric Sachs. I'm a resident of West Urbana. I can say with confidence that the majority of residents of West Urbana, and especially the homeowners, are against this PUD. And I can say that because we've sent in large petitions over the past few years, several times, in which we've raised certain criteria, things that we think are important. And one of them is that we would like to see the preservation of what little single-family housing is left in West Urbana remain, and to see the development of more increased density housing in the empty lots downtown. Now, the majority of housing in Urbana is rental. The minority is single-family housing. So we actually, if we're talking about wanting to have a design, a plan that we follow, where there will be sufficient single-family housing and diversity of housing types, we need to preserve what we have. So we have the plan, we have the comprehensive plan, we have the zoning, we have the rules for PUDs, and this development goes against all of that. So, where's the history of all of this? How did we get here? Are we doing things by a plan, or are we doing things individually? So back in the late 70s and early 80s, there was sort of a bit of a Wild West in which a large number of rather ugly apartment buildings got built in West Urbana very quickly. And the neighborhood rallied together and said, oh, this is going to destroy the neighborhood. So with that was developed, number one, WUNA. That's where WUNA came from, to advocate for the neighborhood, West Urbana Neighborhood Association. And secondly, out of that came the Downtown to Campus Plan. People say, oh, that's dead. No, the Downtown to Campus Plan has been rolled into each one of the comprehensive plans ever since. And so that last time when we voted, when you guys voted, to preserve single-family housing where it exists in West Urbana and some of the other neighborhoods, that was an aspect of the Downtown to Campus Plan, again, rolled back into the comprehensive plan. Done very much on purpose. People say, well, where are we going to build all the new high-density housing that might be needed in the future? Well, part of the trade-off of that Downtown to Campus Plan was to open up the single-family residential area north of campus for higher density apartment buildings. And there's still a lot of space there to do so. And of course, we do have the downtown itself, which is in desperate need to be redeveloped because we've got a lot of empty lots, some of which were made empty by the city in the hope of developing them maybe 30, 40 years ago. So if we continue down this, oh, just this one, we'll do another one, we'll do another, that incremental destruction of West Urbana, we won't have the long-term investors in the neighborhood that we currently have now. There's not a lot of us left. If we get edged out, it'll be gone. And then you'll just have our city of Urbana will just have the developers. That's all we'll have in West Urbana. I don't know if that's enough to really sustain a school system or a viable city, but I don't think that's a future I'd love to see for West Urbana, and I hope you won't want to see it either. Thanks very much.
Good evening, lovely people. How are you this evening? My name is Phyllis Clark, and I don't live in the historic portion of Urbana. I do, however, travel that way quite often, and it's a beautiful location, it really is. However, I live in Ward 3 in North Urbana. A few years ago, they talked about tiny homes. Those tiny homes was built in the historic black community of Urbana. People came and we talked about what it was going to do to our community to have that happen there. And they bulldozed right on through it anyway and did exactly what it is that they wanted to do. They've torn up streets over there. They have messed with housing units over in that area. I'm not saying that that's something that you all ought to just say we don't care about, because that's not quite true. You do care about your neighborhood. You do care what needs to be done. They're not going to bring the homeless people to your neighborhood like they have mine, okay? So what I'm saying is that no one wants all of these huge apartment buildings right next to them, but these people have to have somewhere to go. And as long as they're not going over there, pulling those guys off of Washington Street and bringing them to your community like they're doing mine, then, you know, live with it. Understand that people need to have somewhere to go. People need to be able to do the things that they need to do. Walking to Urbana downtown, walking to the grocery store are things that are needed. These people that live in the area where I am will not be able to walk anywhere. That came through healthcare consumers, Carl Hospital. The city of Urbana helped because they gave them money. But these things are not what you need in your community, and I would not ask for that for you guys. But what I would say is that this city council has a tremendous job to do. It's not going to make everybody happy. But whatever decision it is that they make, we all as a community need to deal with it, support the people that we have elected to office to do the job that we have put them there to do, and move forward. Open our communities up to welcome the people that come in there. And I agree with you, these apartments are terribly expensive. It's not, you know, it's too bad that the city can't say you can't go any higher than this in your rent. And that's what I think it ought to be, but how can you do that? You know, you can't control what they're going to charge you, but open your hearts, open your minds, and understand that these people need somewhere to go to, and that we should be here as a community to support those who want to live among us, regardless of where we are. And I know historic Urbana is some pretty wealthy people over there. Wish I was one, but I'm not, okay? So let us all join together and do the right thing and invite the people in our community that wants to live with us. And that's all I have to say, and thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Jake McGinty. I'm a Urbana resident. I grew up here in the local Jewish community. I'm also a member of UC Jews for Ceasefire. Urbana has a repeated history of taking ethical stances on its investment, and this new policy patches a clear bug that needs correction for our city to maintain its reputation of putting its money where its mouth is. I look forward to all of us having a renewed pride in knowing our city tax dollars aren't going towards the genocide of our Palestinian neighbors' families. That's it. Thank you.
I'm Luke Lee, Champaign resident. Also encouraging the council to vote yes on the changes to the financial policy that include ending divestments to companies that profit off the genocide in Gaza, as well as arms producers, large arms producers. Like, we have the opportunity to make history. You all have the opportunity to make history with this vote as the first city in Illinois to take this step. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I would like to express my sincere condolences on the loss of the strong, kind, and loving and honorable Councilwoman Shonda Bishop. May her memory be a blessing to all of us. And I just want to thank everyone for coming. I when I found out, I was like, are we just going to cancel? Like, what are we going to do here? So I just want to thank everyone for being here, and I'm sure she would actually appreciate that we are here. So I just want to say good evening, Mayor and Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight about an issue that will shape Urbana's future. My name is Annie Adams, Chair of the Urbana Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Commission, and a proud resident of West Urbana. I'm here to urge you to support Plan Case 2519, the proposed development at 413 419 West Main Street. This project is a critical step towards making Urbana more livable, inclusive, and vibrant for all residents. For 10 years, I and many others have advocated persistently for more housing options in Urbana, from duplexes to accessory dwelling units to middle housing and new developments. Repeated rejections have left us facing pressing problems that can no longer be ignored. Working families are struggling to find homes because Illinois is in the grip of a housing crisis. Our state is short by 142,000 units and will need to build over 225,000 new homes in the next 5 years to keep up with demand. As a result, too many families are forced to spend more on income on inadequate housing, unable to find the space or stability they need. Just next door, Champaign faces a 2% vacancy rate, far below the healthy range of 5 to 7%. The recent housing study shows a need for 7,000 new units by 2035, including 6,452 for non-student residents across all income levels. This isn't just their problem, it's a regional crisis that touches all of us. The cost of living in Urbana is rising faster than many residents can keep up with. Higher prices for food, fuel, and especially housing are squeezing families. By building 32 new homes, 19 one-bedroom and 13 two-bedrooms, we open doors for new residents and free up existing housing for others, relieving pressure citywide. I know this project will not solve our housing issues overnight. If approved, it will still take 3 to 5 years before these homes are built and occupied, but we must start now to address our future needs. Nearly half of Urbana's residents are students, and the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign continues to grow. Since 2015, enrollment has risen from 44,000 to over 60,000. Even if some of those students are online, it brings in more students, faculty, and staff who need to support our online students, who also need a place to call home. Our council is proof of this, with 2 council members representing our majority student wards. Just last weekend, I spoke with a student in tears. She and her roommates cannot find affordable housing. She, like so many others, is caught in a housing crisis that's been building for over a decade. Each of the 32 new homes will pay property taxes, generate vital revenue for city services. Additionally, every new resident we add to the city will bring in more state and federal funding for Urbana, as well as increased support for local businesses. Champaign has averaged around 500 building permits a year, while Urbana has averaged around 50, mostly for single-family homes. It is also important to note that the city of Champaign and its school district do not face financial difficulties, whereas the city of Urbana and its school district does. This 4-story building will include solar panels and dedicated Barnyard Creek frontage to the city for a long-awaited trail connection. It is a win for sustainability, recreation, and connectivity. The empty lots proposed for this project have sat vacant for years, generating no revenue for the city or our schools. It's time to turn these lots into vibrant homes and community assets. It's important to recognize that single-family zoning has a troubling history. It was created to exclude people by race and class when overt discrimination was outlawed. Insisting on only single-family housing in this location perpetuates exclusion and limits opportunities for many who want to call Urbana home. These 32 units may not be grand mansions, but they will provide safe, comfortable spaces for students, workers, and families. Real people who deserve to share in Urbana's warmth and opportunity. Let's welcome new neighbors and help them thrive, just as others once welcomed us. I would just like to say, month after month, our township tells us we have a housing problem. Large employers warn that the shortage hampers recruitment and growth shifts to places with more housing options. The state is pushing legislation like the BUILD Act to keep Illinois competitive and growing. Urbana must meet this moment with action. Change and growth can be hard, but it's necessary. My husband and I started in Urbana with this modest 670 square foot house. We actually rented from Pierre's house across the street first. Built during the post-World War II housing crisis. It wasn't perfect, but it gave us and many others a vital start in this community. New housing today will do the same for the next generation. Let's build. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tony Crispin. I'm a resident of Ward 2 in Urbana, and I'm here to vote, or not vote, but I wish I could vote. That'd be cool. But I'm here to speak in favor of the new housing on Main Street. Hold on, let me get my points out. I want to make sure I don't forget anything. Okay, first of all, I love West Urbana. I live in West Urbana, and let me just tell you something right now. Spring's going into summer, and I've been taking a lot of walks around the neighborhood, and I get why they like it so much. I've been living here for the past 2 years as a student, and it has been just a joy and a pleasure to see all the nice little houses and the streets and the trees and the architecture. It's all very nice. And you've heard so many comments tonight about other people saying how much they love it. We like riding our bikes around. We like going to the grocery store. We like being next to downtown where all the action is. I just don't understand why we say these things, why we think these things, and then the instinctive reaction is, but no one else should be able to. That does not make any sense to me. And I understand, oh, but this project, not right here. We have heard more support from affordable housing from people who have been against this development. However, I think that if we always wait for the perfect moment, the perfect time, and the perfect place to make any housing decision, no housing would ever be built ever. There's always a better place you can think of putting it. There's always a better time. There's always a better entry point, but we can't wait around forever. And to respond to a similar kind of point, no, this one project will not solve the affordable housing crisis. But I also do not think that it is incumbent on any new development to solve the affordable housing crisis. It's going to be responded to with a multitude of different responses, different housing types, different housing points, and a new housing system. We need to rethink our zoning codes. We need to rethink our land development process in a way to make more infill possible, like those parking lots in downtown or any other vacant lots in the city that could be redeveloped to use existing infrastructure rather than building it all from scratch as we've been doing for the past 50 years or so. Let's see, let me make sure I didn't forget anything. I want to echo what another community member said about being a welcoming community. And I said this 2 weeks ago about how I would love to be able to welcome more people into this community. Again, I think we all love West Urbana. We all love Urbana in general. I want to make sure that we're able to share that with as many other people as possible. One of my favorite parts of Urbana, and it really speaks to the character of the neighborhood, and you want to talk about the character of the neighborhood, let's stop talking about buildings, let's start talking about what we're actually doing on the street. The YMCA has their New American Welcome Center, where they welcome in new immigrants, where they want to make sure that every person that wants to call Urbana home is welcomed into the community with open arms and able to navigate the system, make connections, and build a community here. I worry strongly when we talk about defending our neighborhoods. We need to protect our single-family homes. We need to defend our neighborhood character from buildings like this, et cetera, et cetera. I hear a lot of the same argument from, oh, you guys might need to buy a new mic stand. Anyway, I hear the same kind of arguments from these Republican type of people when, there, I think I fixed it. That's a good idea as well. Thank you. Anyway. I hear the same kinds of arguments from these Republican types that's, they see a brown person walking down the street and they say, we need to defend our country or we need to defend our community from outside forces. And I'm not saying that anyone here has those same opinions. That no one is saying that. But what I am saying is that same kind of thought germ kind of infiltrates ourselves when we look at new development, when we look at the other coming in, when we look at people not like us coming in, whether that be class or race or whatever. Please don't let that thought process infiltrate your thoughts on building this much needed new housing. Let me make sure one more time I didn't forget anything. Yeah, and again, to address the whole neighborhood character argument, again, I don't think that building one apartment building on one piece of West Urbana is going to destroy the brick streets, the trees, the things that the 99% of other things that give West Urbana its character. And for that one other percent of thing, it's not going to obliterate the neighborhood. It's going to add to the character. It's going to make Urbana a more diverse, more blended community that it already is. Let's start embracing this kind of character where we think of it as the diversity of people that can blend the modern and the historic rather than just it should be this way forever and if anyone does anything about it, I'm going to feel some kind of way about it. Let's see, Yeah, so please defend neighborhood character in the terms of it being a diverse, inclusive, and welcoming place. We all want to love each other here. You guys can make the next step to make Urbana an even more welcoming place, an even more diverse place for everyone down the line, now and in the future. Thank you.
Hi, hello, my name is Louis Barnes. I live in Urbana here with my family, and I work for First Followers as a housing coordinator. My job is to connect formerly incarcerated people with housing. We have hundreds of people come in our drop-in center, and housing is almost always their number one concern. So I have a few things to say about this development as it relates to affordability, which is the primary challenge for the people that we work with. This housing is not going to be affordable housing, as I'm sure you're aware. Right now, for 2026, the HUD fair market rents for Champaign-Urbana area are $1,122 for a 2-bedroom. By the time these apartments get built, they will certainly be rented for hundreds of dollars more than that per month. That's not an amount that myself or my family would be able to afford. There's a situation where these high-cost developments can get built, and you have a situation where the median rent can decrease while people are still being displaced. There's been studies that show that while high-cost developments will decrease the rent amounts for other high-cost developments because of the supply effect, it will simultaneously increase the amount that low-cost housing goes for. So the low-cost rents will simultaneously increase, and for example, if a high-cost apartment decreases its rent by $200 because of the supply effect and a low-cost apartment increases its rent by $150, you can have a situation where the data says that the median rents in a neighborhood are falling, but if we think about the social impact of an increase in rent for low-cost housing while a decrease in rent for high-cost housing, you can see that that's just going to exacerbate the affordability crisis we're already in. Something that I haven't heard about this development is what is the relocation plan for the existing tenants on this site? There's at least one building that's currently occupied. I'd like to know if the developer can assist in finding substitute housing, either guaranteeing new units when those do get built to those tenants or paying a relocation fee for demolishing that housing. The reality is in this country there's more than enough homes for those who need it, but it's being hoarded as financial assets by the rich. Some small cities like about the size of Urbana charge something called a residential impact fee for new development that can be from $5 to $50 per square foot. And in this case, even $2 per square foot for these 32 units would raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for affordable housing. For instance, for an 800 square foot 2-bedroom, you could raise $1,600. If you multiply that by 32 units, it's a lot of money. It's been shown in other locations that this has a minimal impact on project viability or profitability, and I would really encourage the City Council and the Mayor to look at a project like this. How many millions of dollars could have been captured by all of the new development in Champaign-Urbana over the last 10 years, and it still can be if you take meaningful action to address the affordability crisis and use the tools at your disposal. Tonight, if the developers do get a chance to speak, I'd like them to address the question of relocation of the existing tenants and if they would be supportive of a residential impact fee here in Urbana. Thank you.
I'll try this. I'm Carolyn Baxley, 510 West Main in Urbana. My husband and I have lived there since 1981. And when we first moved in, the street was zoned R5. And there were several large apartment buildings that had already been built, including the one you've heard about, Element, which is at the other end of our block. I served 8 years on the Plan Commission, and during that time, the city conducted their downtown to campus plan, and we took that very seriously, and we went block by block all over Urbana and all over West Urbana. And we debated and we compromised, and we had Republicans on the committee, we had Democrats on the committee, but when it came to Main Street, there wasn't one dissenting vote to keep it from being downzoned to R2, because it had been encroached upon by the large apartment buildings, and it was affecting everyone in the area. And we were really worried that we were going to lose all of our historic houses on Main Street. I'm not saying that that's the case here, because it is a situation where you have two empty lots, but you are taking out one large Victorian and one low-income apartment building at the other end. And I'm also, as the previous speaker said, concerned about what's going to happen to those people who've lived in those areas, in those apartments for a long, long time. But the main thing that I think that all of you need to consider is you have an obligation to uphold the zoning in the city. And this is a flagrant violation of the zoning. There is nothing about this development that would qualify it for any kind of special treatment. It's going to immediately upzone this area to R5, which is high density residential. You have your zoning ordinance and you need to uphold it. And that's the bottom line. I mean, it is the Bible by which zoning should be considered, and I'm just asking you to uphold your zoning.
All right, thank you to all of the members of the public who spoke. So I know that we have some emails, so I will start with Mr. Evans.
Thank you, Mayor. Dear Mayor Williams and members of the City Council, my name is John Clark. I'm an Urbana resident and a teaching professor at the University of Illinois School of Architecture. I'm unable to attend Monday's meeting in person, so I respectfully ask that this comment be read aloud during public input and entered into the record. I'm writing on two related items. Build more housing of every type. Please approve the ordinance for the 32-unit residential PUD at 413-419 West Main Street. Less than a year ago, after 5 years of community engagement, this council unanimously adopted the Imagine Urbana Comprehensive Plan. That plan explicitly calls for a greater variety of housing types and more homes near downtown, and the staff report for this very PUD recommends approval by grounding it in Imagine Urbana's own goals. Approving this project is simply keeping the commitment you already made. Voting it down would mean rejecting within a year the plan you adopted unanimously. The deeper point is that market rate and affordable housing are not competing priorities. They reinforce one another. Economist Evan Mass traced 52,000 residents of new market rate buildings across 12 U.S. cities and found that roughly 100 new market rate units free up the equivalent of about 70 units in below median income neighborhoods through a cascading chain of moves. When graduate students and young professionals move into new buildings, the older, cheaper units they vacate open up for lower income families. Restricting new construction to subsidized units only, however well-intentioned, makes affordability worse for the very people it aims to help. Subsidies remain essential at the very bottom of the market. They are a complement to market rate supply, not a substitute for it. Our closest peers prove the point. Ithaca, New York, a college town almost identical to Urbana in size and structure, built around a single research university, declined to build, and today roughly 3/4 of its residents rent. More than half are cost-burdened, and rents have risen far faster than wages. That is Urbana's trajectory if nothing changes. Meanwhile, peers that chose to build are pulling ahead. Charlottesville, Virginia, has the University of Virginia, recently rewrote its zoning to welcome exactly this kind of housing. And our Big Ten neighbors, Bloomington, Indiana, and Iowa City, Iowa, are doing the same. Closest to home, Champaign chose the more permissive path and has grown past 93,000, while Urbana slipped from a mid-2010s peak of nearly 43,000 in population toward roughly 38,000. Same university, same labor market, same weather, different choices about what to allow. A shrinking tax base is the real threat to the affordable housing programs residents care about. Urbana should match Champaign's openness to building. Secondly, we need to preserve the Urbana Civic Center. Please remove the Urbana Civic Center from the central TIF demolition line in the FY 2027-2031 capital improvement plan. I understand the site is also being studied for an MPD transit transfer station, and I believe that preserving the building and serving transit are not mutually exclusive. I know this firsthand. I co-taught a University of Illinois design studio with Professor Joseph Altschuler, in which our students re-envisioned a new transfer station on this very site, one that met MTD's operational needs while keeping the Civic Center. Workable solutions exist. They only require the will to ask for them before reaching for demolition. The Civic Center is a 1974 work of civic architecture, and the rest of this will you put in the record.
All right, Sharice.
I have a letter from G. Brewster to the City Council. Please accept these comments for the record and read during the meeting. I'm a resident of Ward 3, and I urge you to support ordinance number 2026-05013. I do not ask for your support because this development is perfect or solves every housing need in our city. I ask for your support because it is a necessary first step to alleviating the chronic housing shortage in Urbana and the surrounding area. Those with resources will always outcompete those without, even when subsidies are involved. Vouchers lose their power in a shortage because everyone competes for the same limited inventory. Rent remains high when landlords face little competition, rendering subsidies less effective. I have loved working and living in Urbana for years. One thing I deeply regret is when the City Council dismisses the concerns of its staff and residents in favor of well-to-do constituents in specific neighborhoods, often relying on flimsy information that basic fact-checking would expose. Consider these facts. An apartment building on Central Avenue was converted into permanent housing for formerly homeless individuals with disabilities, utilizing project-based vouchers to get rents affordable. Residents began moving in late last year. It would appear that affordable housing is being created in this neighborhood and the city. Furthermore, half of the proposed PUD site consists of vacant lots. These are not public green spaces, but private property. The surrounding area already includes diverse housing types, from the element apartments to duplexes and converted single-family homes for rent. At the Committee of the Whole meeting, I heard fear, defamation, revisionist history, and what appeared to be naked exclusion disguised as concern for the poor. I urged the council to develop a plan to build more housing for the rich, the poor, the middle class, and everyone in between, the meh. Please rely on the data provided by staff and your hired experts to create real policies rather than acting as a government HOA for the privileged in Urbana. My request is twofold. One, I approve this PUD to begin opening units across the income spectrum and continue approving similar projects. 2, issue an RFP for the property on Race Street, working with community development and social service agencies to create a realistic plan to assist the poor rather than perpetually funding variations of the same programs while the problem grows. Personally, I would be interested in living in such a development, allowing someone else to access my current sub-$500 apartment. Every new unit frees up existing affordable housing for others. As someone who works with the homeless, both individuals and families, I know that any new availability creates opportunities for people to move and opens space for those in desperate need. Choose love over fear and cynicism. I ask you to choose, be, and listen to a love supreme. All 4 parts if you have the time. In case you guys don't know, that's John Coltrane. Sincerely, G. Brewster.
Thank you, Sharice. Verdale. My name is Kate Clancy, and I am an Urbana resident of 18 years. A professor of anthropology at the University of Illinois, co-president of the Campus Faculty Association, and a member of Faculty for Justice in Palestine. I am writing to express my support for Urbana moving to an ethical investment model. I do not want my city to invest in war profiteering, famine, and death. For the last few years, we at UIUC have tried to push the university towards an ethical investment model. Instead, they have dug in their heels, insisting they have no control over investments they make. A few years back, one of their own committees recommended fossil fuel divestment, and it was part of their climate action plan. Somehow, the climate action plan signed by our chancellor this spring made no mention of that recommendation. Urbana City Council, do better than UIUC leadership and vote in favor of this proposed financial plan. Be a leader while they hide and show them a better world is possible. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Verdale. Grace.
And I don't know if the clerk's keeping track of the 2 hours total. So.
Yep. So 9:04 p.m. will be exactly the 2-hour mark and our cutoff. So at this point, we have like 8 minutes left. No, 7 minutes.
Cool. Thank you. This is from Rebecca Obachowski. My name is Rebecca Obachowski, resident of Ward 2. I'm writing to encourage you to support the approval of the development plan for 413 to 419 West Main Street in Urbana. I'm a lifelong Urbana resident. In my years here, I have seen many older homes be demolished in favor of large and ugly apartment buildings. As a lover of older homes and the quaint nature of our neighborhoods, this has always caused me some regret. But as I have gotten older, built a better understanding of the dynamics of our city's housing options, and committed my career to human service, what causes me much greater frustration is the ways in which Urbana seems to refuse any sort of growth or change in order to maintain a status quo that is only accessible to a precious few of our residents. Do I think this building is the most beautiful and well-matched design for the area? No. Do I think it meets the incredible need for affordable housing in our area? No. What it does is provide new opportunities for housing for many people, reducing the strain on our other limited housing options. It also helps to revitalize our downtown with residences within a very short walk to shopping, groceries, libraries, etc. These are things that should be available to everyone, not just those able to pay the hundreds of thousands for a single-family home in this area. This development is one step. It is one building, nothing more. It seems very simple to me, not something that will make or break the fabric of our little town as people are acting. Let's allow something new to happen so more new possibilities can be built for our future. I urge you and other council members to vote yes. Thank you for your time. If possible, please read this into the record. Respectfully, Rebecca Obachowski.
Thank you, Grace. James?
All right, I have several here, which I don't think I'm going to make it through in our time limit, but I'll start out. The first is from Lois Steinberg. Dear esteemed council members, I oppose the proposal for 413 to 419 West Main Street, Urbana. In addition to all the facts that Michael J. Plewa, and others have written in opposition. The proposed building is an unsightly, garish eyesore. Sincerely, Lois Steinberg. This next one is from C.K. Gonzalez and Michael Walker. Dear Mayor and members of the Urbana City Council, we urge you to reject the proposed planned unit development on Main Street that would effectively rezone this property from R2 to R5 and permit a level of density that is fundamentally inconsistent with the surrounding neighborhood. Please reflect on which voices are being given the greatest weight in this process. Those who live in the neighborhood year-round and have invested in it over many years will experience the impacts of this decision every day. Their perspectives deserve substantial consideration. While input from individuals who do not live in the neighborhood or even Urbana is certainly relevant, the city's planning process should not discount the experience and knowledge of the residents who have made long-term commitments to this community and who will live with the consequences long after the development is completed. Advocates of the proposal have emphasized contemporary planning concepts that favor infill development and increased density. While those principles can serve important public purposes, they must be applied thoughtfully and in context. In a university community such as Urbana, where demand for student-oriented housing is strong, infill incentives often create pressures for developers to construct high-rent, high-density projects rather than housing that contributes to a diverse mix of residential options. Simply increasing density should not be confused with advancing affordability, neighborhood stability, or sound long-term planning. The proposal PUD appears inconsistent with the city's comprehensive plan, which recognizes the importance of preserving established residential neighborhoods. The surrounding area consists primarily of low-density residential development that has evolved over many decades. Residents have invested substantial financial resources, time, and effort into maintaining homes and building a stable neighborhood community. Approving a project of this scale would undermine those planning objectives and signal that adopted land use policies can be set aside whenever a developer seeks greater intensity. The project eliminates approximately 14 existing affordable housing units. Whatever their age or condition, these units currently provide housing opportunities at a price point that is increasingly difficult to find in West Urbana. Replacing them with a much larger building aimed at different market does not preserve affordability, it removes it. Urbana should be cautious about approving projects that reduce the stock of naturally occurring affordable housing while offering no comparable replacement. The proposed structure is substantially out of scale with the surrounding neighborhood. The visual impact of its size, massing, and height would be overwhelming at street level. This proposal represents poor planning, not because growth is undesirable, but because growth should be consistent with adopted plans, respectful of existing neighborhoods, protective of affordable housing, and appropriately scaled to its surroundings. We urge you to deny the proposed PUD, preserve the integrity of the comprehensive plan, the requirements for PUDs, and the established residential character of our great neighborhood. C.K. Gonzalez and Michael W. Walker.
All right. Thank you, James. We have 59 seconds. Do you think you can read the last one?
More that are pretty short.
Go for it.
All right. This is from Becky Mead and Tim Stelzer. Dear esteemed council members, we oppose the proposal for 413 to 419 West Main Street, Urbana. We agree with the facts that Michael J. Plewa, Tina Gonzalez, Esther Pat, and others have written in opposition to this project. The proposed building is oversized and inappropriate for the neighborhood. It requires many variances. The consideration of the project has been rushed and unconventional. It does not accord with the comprehensive development plan you just approved. The way Urbana will remain beautiful city is through thoughtful vision, not by surrendering to pressure for short-term gain from developers. Please stop this. Sincerely, Becky Mead and Tim Stelzer. And the last one is from Jared Fritz.
We'll just hold off. We had a strong 2 hours of public input. Want to say thank you to all the members of the public who did speak and those who sent the emails. The remaining letters that requested to be read will be available in the minutes to come. So thank you all again. I am going to ask if you all are okay with it. Can we take a quick 5-minute recess and come back? Everybody good? All right. Thank you.
I was here to talk about a different. Take a look at it before they went.
All right, all right. Can we go ahead and get everyone seated again so we can finish the meeting here? All right, we're gonna keep it going. Oh, we got some visit. Oh, I can't say no. All right. All right. So we are coming back from recess. So thank you all for your patience. Next, we have council input and communications. So are there any, excuse me, guys. Excuse me. These microphones are not loud.
Excuse us.
Hey, please.
Hello.
All right. Yeah, I definitely need a gavel. These microphones are not very loud. All right, we will get back to the meeting. We are now at council input and communications. Are there any members, any council members wishing to speak at this time? Sharice.
I just want to say, although I can appreciate, trust me, I really can appreciate the issue regarding this PUD coming up. I was kind of concerned because it seems to me like a lot of people are more concerned with the location than the actual development itself. And I got the feeling from listening to some people that it is only seen on some level that affordability means that it's not in your location. Affordability means it's on the north end, or it's over there by Brookins. And that's where affordable housing ought to be. And I have to disagree. Everyone has to sacrifice. The houses, my understanding is that the homes that are being, that will be demolished are not the highest of quality and almost impossible to reuse. They've just been getting reused. Anything can happen with anything. But affordable housing, like the PUD that one of the my constituents came in and discussed, is not just about everything. If it's going to be affordable, we need to put it on the north end. I'm sorry if you feel that our neighborhoods are not as glorious in some way, because we like to keep our folks safe, and we like to keep our, North End has always been pretty diverse in population and demographic regarding race, age, and so on and so forth. But the PUD that is going up there was fought against, not because of the people that would be there or because we were even against it. It's because we don't have the infrastructure. There is no walkability to a grocery store on Ward 3. There is no walkability to a drugstore or bank or Starbucks where this particular PUD is going. And that was our concern, not to mention that it is literally in the backyards of our Champaign neighbors. So I just want that to be understood how I've interpreted some of the comments.
Thank you for that. Grace.
Thank you. Just want to say I appreciate the moment of silence for Chandra and others who have given their condolences. Just want to acknowledge again the loss of a friend and dedicated public servant. I believe that her spirit goes on and is especially here with us tonight. Secondly, just wanted to thank everyone who came out or shared your input on email or other means and came out to participate tonight. I think this is an important part. Really appreciate hearing people's input. I don't think this is a simple issue. I think there's a lot of things to consider that people have brought to the table. And I do think that we can work together for equitable, accessible growth and more housing opportunities in the community. I do think that that is the shared goal here, and I think that we can move forward in that way, even with this proposal here. So again, appreciate the input and look forward to seeing how we can really hear and work for the best growth for all of our residents. Thanks.
Thank you, Grace. All right, James.
All right. Deshauna, I would also like to thank you for the moment of silence at the beginning of this meeting. I want to express my condolences to Chandra's family and friends and everybody who worked with her. I feel fortunate to have had a chance to work with her over the last several years. She's always been a fierce supporter of this community and committed, and she did so under tremendous adversity. And she will be sorely missed, and I will try to remember and think about what she would do as I make my decisions when I sit here. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Verdell.
Yes, I also like to give just thank you for the mayor for giving that moment of silence. I knew Chandra a little bit, not very much, but I always watched her from afar. And the way she carried herself with confidence and poise is something that I'll always remember her by. I appreciate all the work that she has done up to this point. And her legacy will definitely live through this council. In regards to this PUD, I had a chance to walk through the neighborhood today. And I want to say it's a gorgeous neighborhood. I understand why people are fighting so hard. Because, change is tough. Change is difficult. When new things come in, there's a fear sometimes that could take away from the livability or the beauty that you hold on to dearly. So I appreciate everyone today who's come out here, whether it's for or against. That's what true democracy is about. But please, whatever the decision is, don't let this divide the community. There's enough division in this country today. And the reason why me and my family chose Urbana is because of the diversity, but the unity of that diversity. So whatever happens, let's continue to move forward together, because that's the only way Urbana will still be able to thrive. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Chris.
Yeah, definitely condolences to Chandra's family and to the mayor. About Chandra. Chandra Bishop is one of the strongest people I've ever met, and she will be missed. That's all I got.
All right. Is there anything else? Anyone else? Darcy? Mary Alice, I'm sorry, I forgot you were in the clouds. Can you hear me?
No, that's totally fine, and I apologize for being remote tonight.
Oh, that's fine. Hope you feel better.
I was very sad to hear the news of Chandra. She was a wonderful city council member, but she was a wonderful person, and my condolences to her family.
Thank you. All right. Next is reports of standing committees, which there aren't any. So we will move on to reports of officers. We have a report from City Attorney, Mr. Rushley. Matt, if you want to just speak from there or go to the front, whatever you want to do. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll speak from here. I want to talk just briefly, and I apologize, my computer's starting to die. I'm going to pull up my notes here. I want to discuss the PUD item that's on the council agenda, and just clear up a couple things about that that I've seen circulating either in correspondence or other communication from constituents over the last week and a half or so. There's been a characterization of the vote at the committee meeting on the 18th of May on this item as illegal. And I think the main thing I want to say about that is it was not an illegal vote. It did not violate federal or state law, city ordinance, or any of our established council rules or procedures. So that's a mischaracterization of the vote. There have been concerns raised procedurally about what we have on the books in our current city ordinance that relates to this being inconsistent with past council practices. That is a legitimate concern. It does not make the vote illegal. So I want to clarify that for the record, and for anyone in the public who might have received communications that stated that. The other thing I would say about it is that there have been a lot of information we've received, both from council and staff, from past city officials, either who were sitting city council members at the time that this the operative city ordinance, which is section 2-28 of the city code, was most recently amended. And those communications related to their understanding of what they were adopting when they adopted the current language, council's intent at the time, their recollections related to this particular procedural rule. That's all helpful input and context. I want to say it's meaningful for future policy discussions related to this issue that this council might want to engage in for the purposes of determining the propriety of the vote and its consistency with established city ordinance and its legality. What is relevant is what we have on the books. That's the most important and deciding factor in terms of the propriety of the vote. So that's all I'll say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, we have the Committee of the Whole. Councilmember Evans, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. There are no items on the consent agenda. We go to the irregular agenda and begin with, I move to approve ordinance number 2026-04-011, an ordinance amending Urbana City Code Chapter 14, Section 14-7, regarding the schedule of fees from July 1st to the 2026 through June 30th, 2027. I move to approve that.
Second.
All right, motion made to approve ordinance number 2026-04-011, ordinance amending Urbana City Code, Chapter 14, Section 14-7, regarding the schedule of fees, July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. Motion made by Member Evans and seconded by Councilmember Sharice. Is there any discussion? James.
Mayor, may I make an amendment?
James was first. Can I go to James and then you?
I was just going to make an amendment, but I didn't know if you wanted to discuss it.
Well, go for it.
Well, no, I have the
Okay.
floor. She can make the amendment after I
Okay.
say my piece.
Give me one, because I think she's lagged. Mary Alice, I'm sorry. James had the floor first. Let me get James and then I'll come back to you. Go for it, James.
No problem.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I'm still concerned in the change in this ordinance, how it would affect small community gatherings that happen in neighborhoods, either neighborhood watch groups or block parties where they block the street. I'm afraid it's going to put undue burden cost-wise on them the way it's been changed, but I will still vote for it as it stands.
All right, Mary Alice, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I would like to make an amendment in regards to the PUD application. Currently, there is a combined total, which is a deduction of the amount for the combined preliminary and final, and I would like to move that the combined be $800.
Could we, point of clarification, tell us what section or page you're referencing?
I knew you were going to ask that. Let me find it real quickly. So this is on 9 subdivision and development applications, letter F, under Plan Unit Development, Champaign County and City.
Mary Alice, one more time, word your amendment for me. Give me your amendment again.
Okay, I'd like to alter under section 9F, number 3, the combination of the preliminary and final, change that to be $800 instead of $550. At the moment, it is a combination of preliminary and final, which is a decrease. It's $430 and $315 for those two combos, which is $745, and I'd just like to make it an even $800 for the combination. And I'm happy to speak to the reason why if I have a second.
All right, so we have an amendment to combine the fee to $800 from the stated $500. Do I need
I'll second.
Seconded, motion made by Mary Alice, seconded by Quisenberry. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we will take a vote on the amendment. Clerk, will you call the roll?
Did Mary Alice want to speak to her motion?
She said if we needed to. Mary Alice?
If we got a second, which she got with James.
Okay. I thought she said if we needed. I'm sorry. All right. Mary Alice, did you want to speak to that?
Yes, thank you. So one of the challenges, I believe, with the plan unit developments that come to City Council is oftentimes they come together as a preliminary and a final. And really, I think it would be better for all peoples involved to be separating them from the preliminary and final being two different items. And so by actually decreasing the amount by combining it to $550, I think it incentivizes people to actually not put them together, to combine them. And so I would prefer that people come with a preliminary and then a final, which is why my suggestion is $800.
All right, thank you. All right, so we have a motion made, seconded by Quisenberry. No further discussion. Clerk, will you call the roll?
Councilmember Wu?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Hersey?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkin?
Yes.
Councilmember Quisenberry?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So now we will have a vote on the final action with the amendment, correct? All right.
Question, discussion?
Yes, Grace.
Thank you. Appreciate that there's been updates to the special event permits. I think it looks better than it was, but I also agree that I don't know if it is the right fit. So I guess question there is if this was based on the actual cost to the city to manage a medium or high level special event, if that's where those estimates came from. And then second question, if, a protest that's not a permitted special event, how that's handled kind of on the fly potentially.
So to the first question, yes, but I will tell you the thought wasn't for us to essentially charge for, block parties and, and protests and things of that nature. It was more so for the larger, events where we have, we had such a small ask from a financial standpoint. There was no, I don't want to say liability, but there was no pressure from, the organizers to follow through with their actual request and programming and things. I don't know if that's the direction or the question that you're asking, but that was essentially why and how we came up with that cost, that amount.
And if I may follow up question,
Grace.
then do you mean that this is not intended to be applied for block parties or protests? And if not, how do we distinguish that?
Correct. It was not intended, but I guess from a verbiage standpoint, we can, add that to make it clearer, but that was not the intent, no.
Yeah, I do think that would be good, that if we if we're planning to exempt certain things, that should be in writing, because it's not in writing, so they're not exempt. Right now, this would apply to any special event, and I'm not sure if that's defined somewhere else, what it classifies a special event, but I think that if we are intending to exempt certain things, that should definitely be written.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Does this have a time that it needs to be passed? Do we have a hard deadline on this?
We do. We do. Go. Elizabeth. She has her.
It really should pass tonight so that we have adequate time to notify people of changes in various fees before July 1 when they'll be effective.
But I can't say, I don't, and Elizabeth, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see it being an issue for us to add the, you know, the verbiage of, I guess, the details. But, yeah.
Well, we'd have to add it here to make it part of the fee schedule, but I do think if there are exceptions allowed, it should be stated here.
Sure.
So that it's clear, yeah.
Absolutely. Quisenberry.
So I'm going to propose an amendment where it creates a section that says special events, adding a parenthetical comment excluding protests and block parties. Close the parenthetical addition.
Second.
All right, so we have an amendment on the floor with the addition of verbiage stating that we will create a section where special events are listed and excluded, as well as protest being excluded. So that was moved by Quisenberry, seconded by Grace. Is there any discussion on the amendment?
Clerk, was that clear enough for the amendment?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Seeing none, clerk, will you call the roll?
Councilmember Wu?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Hersey?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkin?
Yes.
Councilmember Quisenberry?
Yes.
All right, thank you all. That amendment passes. So now we will move to vote for final approval with the two additional amendments, one of the combined $800 fee instead of the $500 that is listed, as well as creating a section where it clearly states special events and protests are excluded. Are there, and block parties, I'm sorry, thank you. Block parties and special events and protests are excluded under special events. I'm sorry, I'm getting my wording together here.
I trust the clerk.
Yes, we're good. All right, if there's no further discussion around that, clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Wu?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Hersey?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkin?
Yes.
Councilmember Quisenberry?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. That passes. Chris?
Next item is resolution number 2026-05-020R, a resolution adopting revised financial policies for 2026. I would like to make an amendment to the motion to approve by having the financial policy under ethical investments include the American Friends Service Committee list of companies profiting from the Gaza genocide be included in the second paragraph as corrected by the finance director this afternoon.
Second.
All right, a motion.
Just a quick question, really quick. Was that the change from last week that just didn't make it into the edits of the packet? Like, is that a clerical clarification? Am I understanding correctly?
Just for clarity, I caught it in the first paragraph, but I didn't make the change in the second paragraph.
Perfect, thank you. So it's not technically amending, it's just stating for the record what should have been in there as amended last week appropriately. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion to approve resolution number 2026-05-020R, resolution adopting revised financial policies, which has had the update of the American Friends included in that. So at this time, is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, clerk, will you call the roll?
Mayor, I would like to say something if that's okay.
Mary Alice, go for it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The premise of the germination of this is, I think it was good in the very beginning that we were talking broadly and being inclusive throughout the whole world in terms of all the conflicts that happen. I'm a little disappointed that we're adding another one while not recognizing some of the other tragedies and traumas going on across the world. That said, I do believe in the core of what this is supposed to be, but I just wanted to vocalize that I feel like it goes beyond just one particular group, and that it would be good for us to consider all the other items going on.
Thank you. Grace?
Thank you. And I appreciate that point that Mary Alice has raised, and I'm open to considering other lists of other genocides and not having it be set in stone forever. So I'm definitely open for that. I think that this absolutely makes sense now because that is one of the most pressing genocides happening right now. And this is a common list that has precedent that other cities have been using. And this list makes the actual change of forcing us to move money from the Illinois Fund, whereas the CIPRI list alone would not trigger us moving our money. So it would, in effect, have no financial outcome. So for those reasons, I think that this is the right inclusion.
Thank you, Grace. Anyone else? All right, seeing no further discussion, clerk, will you call the roll?
Councilmember Wu,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hersey,
Yes.
Councilmember Jones,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkin,
Yes.
Councilmember Quisenberry.
Yes.
Thank you.
That passes.
Next item is ordinance number 2026-05-013, an ordinance approving a preliminary and final development plan for a planned unit development at 419 West Main Street, plan case number 2519-PUD-25, and I will yield to Alderman Quisenberry.
Yeah.
Make the motion.
Under the rules of the Urbana City Council, I request that this be deferred to the next city council meeting based on the advice we've received from the attorney.
Seconded.
All right, there's been a motion to move this by Quisenberry to the next city council meeting, which is, what is that date? If you can give it.
June 8th.
June 8th, seconded by Chris Evans. Any further discussion?
It does not require a vote
Doesn't
by our
dis-
rules.
All right, so we're good to go. We'll move that to June 8th, city council meeting. Thank you. All right. We will now move to special reports of committees, which there aren't any. So the next thing that we have on the agenda this evening is a mayoral appointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals. It is my complete pleasure to present Zainab Kalakawala. That was one of those last names that I apologize in advance for butchering, but for a term ending June 30th, 2031. May I have a motion to approve this appointment?
Yes, I would move appointment of Zainab Kalkatawala for a term ending June 30th, 2031 for the Zoning Board of Appeals.
I second.
All right, motion made by Quisenberry, seconded by Mr. Jones. Is there any discussion? All right, with no further discussion, clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Wu,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hersey,
Yes.
Councilmember Jones,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkin,
Yes.
Councilmember Quisenberry.
Yes.
All right, congratulations, Zainab. I'm looking forward to working alongside you and learning how to pronounce your last name. So thank you for your service. We'll talk to you soon. All right, with no further business before this body, this meeting is adjourned. We will now move into the committee of the whole.